How to handle failure philosophically. Let's be honest with each other right from the start. Failing hurts. It doesn't matter if it is a business venture that went belly up, a relationship that crumbled into dust, or an exam you studied weeks for but still bombed. The physical sensation is almost always the same: a hollow pit in the stomach, a burning sense of shame, and that nagging, quiet voice whispering that perhaps you just aren't good enough. Most advice you will find out there tries to put a bandage on this wound. They tell you to fail forward or get back on the horse immediately. While well-intentioned, that kind of toxic positivity often glosses over the actual human experience of loss. To handle failure philosophically, we have to dig much deeper than catchy slogans. We have to fundamentally rewire how we perceive our place in the universe and the timeline of our lives. We need to sit with the discomfort like an old friend rather than running from it like an enemy. The first shift in perspective comes from understanding the distinction between the event and the identity. In our modern hyper-competitive world, we have dangerously conflated failing with being a failure. The ancient Stoics had a brilliant way of dissecting this. They believed in the dichotomy of control. Imagine you are an archer. You can select the best bow, you can craft the straightest arrow, you can train your muscles for years, and you can aim with absolute precision. But the moment that arrow leaves your string, it is no longer up to you. A sudden gust of wind could blow it off course. The target could move. To the philosopher, your worth is tied strictly to the preparation and the release of the arrow, the things within your control. Where the arrow lands is simply an indifferent fact of nature. When you internalize this, you realize that the outcome does not define your character. You can execute a perfect process and still get a terrible result. Accepting this liberates you from the tyranny of the scoreboard. You are the archer, not the arrow. We must also look at the concept of time. We tend to view failure as a dead end, a period at the end of a sentence. But a philosophical approach views life not as a series of distinct tests, but as a continuous flowing river. In the grand tapestry of a chaotic universe, what looks like a catastrophe today is often the necessary prologue to a triumph 10 years from now. This isn't just wishful thinking, it is the nature of cause and effect. There is a concept called Amor Fati, a Latin phrase famously embraced by Friedrich Nietzsche that translates to love of fate. This goes beyond merely tolerating what happens to you. It is about embracing it enthusiastically. It suggests that you shouldn't just accept the failure, you should love it because it is a piece of the puzzle that constitutes you. Without that specific failure, you wouldn't be the person you are becoming. To wish away the failure is to wish away your own existence. It is asking for a life without texture, without plot twists, and without depth. Furthermore, there is a profound beauty in brokenness that we often ignore. In Japanese aesthetics, there is a tradition called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with lacquer dusted with powdered gold. Instead of trying to hide the cracks to make the bowl look new again, the artisan highlights the cracks with gold. The breakage and the repair become part of the history of the object, making it more beautiful and valuable than it was when it was perfect. We should treat our failures the same way. Do not hide your scars or your blunders. Do not scrub your social media clean of your mistakes. Those cracks are where the light gets in. A person who has never failed is a person who has never truly tested the boundaries of their potential. When you wear your failures openly, you become more relatable, more human, and ironically, more trustworthy. Perfection is boring, resilience is fascinating. We also need to talk about the ego and the spotlight effect. A huge chunk of the pain associated with failure comes from the assumption that everyone is watching us. We feel like we are the main character on a stage, and when we trip, the whole audience is laughing. Philosophy offers a gentle reality check. Almost no one is watching. Everyone else is too busy wrestling with their own demons, their own insecurities, and their own potential failures to give more than a passing thought to yours. This realization shouldn't make you feel insignificant, it should make you feel free. If nobody is really keeping score, then you are free to experiment. You are free to look foolish. You are free to try things that might not work simply for the joy of the attempt. The universe is vast and indifferent, and in that indifference lies your permission to take risks without the crushing weight of judgment. Finally, consider the absurd. Philosophers like Albert Camus suggest that the human condition is essentially defined by the tension between our desire for order and meaning and the chaotic silence of the universe. He used the myth of Sisyphus, the man condemned to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity, only to watch it roll back down every time he reaches the top. That sounds like the ultimate failure, doesn't it? The task is never finished, the victory never lasts. But Camus concludes that one must imagine Sisyphus happy. Why? Because the struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart. The success isn't in the boulder staying at the top, the success is in the act of pushing. If you can find meaning in the grind, in the learning, and in the sheer stubborn refusal to give up, then failure loses its sting. You stop working for the applause at the end and start working for the love of the work itself. So, the next time the world crumbles around you, don't panic. Don't retreat into a shell of self-pity. Take a deep breath and look at the rubble. Pick up a piece of the wreckage and examine it. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me about my own strength? Remember that you are the archer, not the target. Remember to paint your cracks with gold. Hug the chaos, love your fate, and keep pushing that boulder. Not because you are guaranteed to win, but because the pushing is what makes you alive. If this perspective shifted something in your mind today, or if you have your own golden scar from a past failure that made you stronger, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below sharing your story. Let's turn this comment section into a library of resilience. And if you want to keep exploring these deep dives into life and the mind with me, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are just getting started, and I'd love to have you on this journey.